You going this way? My man, I'll follow you. Hey, Maggie, want to stay here? Stay here? Okay. Hey, my legion. Welcome to Maggie I at the movies. Tonight, or today, we're going to be reviewing I Spit on Your Grave 3, Vengeance is Mine. The very latest I Spit on Your Grave movie. I didn't know there was going to be another sequel. And this is actually a sequel to the original. Well, not the original, to the remake. The 2010 remake, and not the second one is like by itself, I guess, because the second one's with another girl and it ends up starting in New York and then going to another country and stuff like it. This one is a sequel to the remake back in 2010. Well, anyway, concerns about the same girl after, like a few years after what she did to those guys, and she was never caught. And you see her talking to a psychiatrist, and also in this group for women of violence, and a support group. And she never really talks. She's just an observer. She talks to her psychiatrist. And then you see this one girl, there's this one blonde girl that kind of is like a Nicole Arbor type, I guess, a real smart ass. And she was talking about taking revenge into her own hand. And there was these group of guys that was always bugging this girl after she comes out from the original one after she came out of group. And then she started talking down to these guys, right? The blonde girl. And then they became friends. And then the blonde girl was talking about taking revenge into her own hands too. But little ways like pantsing this one guy, and she was going to kill this one guy with a crowbar, and the girl from the remake stopped her and said, hold off, and they were in like ski masks and stuff like that. And she said it was such a rush. And then the blonde girl said that she was going to go straighten some things out with her ex-boyfriend. And the girl from the remake, the original, the 2010 remake said, I can't remember the names of the characters. She was saying that, well, I'll come with you. And the girl said, nah, that's complicated. There's restraining orders involved, stuff like that. Well, apparently the next time they go in the group, the one leader of the group that was a therapist was saying, I got some bad news. She was killed. And then the guy who did it, her boyfriend, got arrested, and then he got let go. And then that's when the girl from the remake started to get pissed off and really acting out, getting revenge on all these people who screwed over the girls in the group. That's when it gets good. It was interesting up to that point, but it takes about 45 minutes or 40 minutes for it to really get good. And there's one really major problem in the movie up to that point. They'll show her, like, if she gets pissed off somebody, they'll show her, like, taking revenge on them, and then they'll cut to her just talking to them, because she was doing it in her head, and that gets really annoying real quick. And then she does get revenge on some people. And then it starts to lose its way during the last 20 minutes or so. I mean, the real, like, I don't know, it didn't really make sense. And then and then by the time it ends, you don't really know what to think. I mean, I think it's said about as much as, the series has said about as much as it can say, but they want to make another sequel, it's up to them. But I think it was an alright movie. Just because of that stuff where it just got irritating. It felt like you were being jerked around a lot of times in the movie. And because of that, I have to give it a 6 out of 10. If it would have just stayed true and it wouldn't have had her fantasizing about acting out a lot of times instead of just acting out, I think it would have been much better. But for what it was okay. Now I want to talk about the history of that movie, because I remember seeing Siskel and Ebert. Roger Ebert said that the original I Spit on Your Grave from 1978 is the worst movie ever made. And that got the director, a lot of free publicity. Because the director only did one other movie in the 80s called Don't Mess With My Sister, which he actually the cover made it look like someone like I Spit on Your Grave type thing. But it was actually nothing like it. And, that gave that a cult status. Roger Ebert saying the worst movie ever made. And he went on. Gene Siskel says the worst movie, but he never went on about it like Roger Ebert did. Because Roger Ebert says the worst movie ever made. all over the place, and that really got it a lot of free publicity. Because I think it would have, kind of just came and went. Because I didn't know about the movie. They had, like I said, they had something when I was in 5th grade, or called "The Female's Always the Victim." They were speaking of all the slasher films, and they had that movie on there, and I never heard of it. And then I remember renting it after we got VCR much later on from Wizard Video, and seeing it, I was surprised because she got revenge on all those guys that did her wrong. So she wasn't the victim; she was the hero in the movie, right, Maggie? And it was just weird after all these years. And then in 2010, they made a remake. And then they made, from Anchor Bay, and Anchor Bay did Mother's Day too, which was completely different, but ended up being really screwed up. And the remake of I Spell Your Grave was awesome. I did buy that on DVD for like less than $10 from Walmart, the unrated version. And it was really good. I really liked it. And Dad watched most of it. And then they started playing like those on cable, that and the original I Spell Your Grave. And then, like I said, I saw the second one. The second one was pretty good. I mean, it was a little bit predictable. I mean, I thought some of it was predictable, but I thought it was still pretty good. And now the third one came out. I don't know if they're going to do any sequels to it. I don't know. Because they never did a sequel to the original one, but from 1978, but it was different. And I will say, for the original, because I bought the combo for like, I don't know how much it was, around less than $10 from Elite, of I Spell Your Grave and also Don't Mess With My Sister. And I will say, I noticed later on when I was watching the movie, because I didn't notice that at the time, when that kid with the glasses in the original brought the groceries over to Camille Keaton, who I guess is doing conventions. I never met her, though. With Buster Keaton's granddaughter, or great-granddaughter. I'm sure he wasn't happy about the movie. I don't know if he even knew about the movie. I don't know about that. But whenever that kid brought the groceries with that lady, if you see the bags, it's Surefine. It's from Surefine, which is really cool. But it was weird because at the time, it was still IGA around our area, and then it became Surefine until sometime in the 90s. I thought that was cool. But like I said, a 6 out of 10 for I Spell Your Grave 3, Vengeance Is Mine. It would have got higher score, but a lot of times it felt like it was jerking you around and trying to have it both ways, That was a problem with, and you'll know if you see the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. So, till next time, bye. From Maggie, me, take care of my Legion. Right, Maggie? Want to say bye? Bye.